Welcome to our channel. Today, we're diving into a subject that's about as exciting as watching paint dry, but considerably more important: the thrilling world of charcoal production regulations in Myanmar. Now, I know what you're thinking. Charcoal regulations? That's even less interesting than that time I watched a documentary about the history of staplers. And you might be right. But, and this is a big but, these regulations are vital for protecting Myanmar's forests, and frankly, you don't get much more interesting than protecting the environment. It's like the rainforest is Beyoncé, and these regulations are her security detail, making sure no one messes with Queen Bey. So buckle up, because we're about to embark on a journey through the legal jungle of charcoal production. We'll be hacking our way through dense legalese, wading through swamps of bureaucratic jargon, and hopefully, emerging on the other side with a better understanding of how to make sure your charcoal-related activities are legal. And look, I get it. No one wants to spend their day thinking about permits and regulations. But trust me, it's far less painful than facing the legal and environmental consequences of ignoring them. It's a bit like flossing, really. A necessary evil in the pursuit of a healthier existence. Right off the bat, let's address the elephant in the room, or rather, the permit in the charcoal kiln. You can't just waltz into the forest and start churning out charcoal like it's a game of Minecraft. Oh no, my friend, this isn't some anarchist baking show. To produce charcoal legally in Myanmar, you need to obtain a very special piece of paper, a golden ticket, if you will, from the forest department. Think of it like Willy Wonka. But instead of a chocolate factory, it's a license to turn trees into fuel. This magical document is officially known as the Forest Product Permit, and it's about as much fun as it sounds. But, and this is crucial, operating without this permit is like trying to hail a taxi in the middle of the ocean. It's not going to end well. We're talking legal action under the Forest Law of 1992, which, let me tell you, is not as light a read as the latest issue of Good Housekeeping. So do yourself a favor, save yourself a headache, and get the permit. Now, you might think that having this all-powerful permit gives you carte blanche to set up shop anywhere you please. But hold your horses, Johnny Charcoal Maker, because Myanmar says, nay nay! Just like that friend who refuses to go to certain restaurants because of bad vibes, there are areas where charcoal production is strictly verboten. We're talking protected areas. Those are a big no-no. Then there are government forest lands in rural areas. Off limits unless you want to play a high-stakes game of hide-and-seek with the authorities. And don't even think about firing up the kiln in village lands without the village head's blessing. You wouldn't want to be the person who makes an enemy of the village head. Trust me, that's a grudge match you don't want to be a part of. Now, let's talk consequences, shall we? Because ignoring these regulations isn't like sneaking an extra cookie from the jar, it carries some real weight. We're talking penalties that would make even the most hardened criminal think twice. Picture this. You, in an orange jumpsuit, trading in your charcoal for a jail cell. That's right, folks, violations can land you in the slammer for a period ranging from a brisk 3 months to a soul-crushing 5 years. And that's not all. On top of your newfound accommodations, you could be slapped with a fine that would make your bank account weep. We're talking 5 to 10 million kyats. Enough to buy a small fleet of those tiny cars they drive in Monaco. And just to add insult to injury, they might even confiscate your charcoal and equipment. It's basically environmental asset forfeiture. They take your charcoal-making dreams and turn them into a cautionary tale. Okay, so we've established that breaking the law is about as much fun as a root canal performed by a bear. So, how do you operate legally in this charcoal-making game? Well, buckle up, because it's about to get bureaucratic. First, you need to sign a contract with the Forest Department. Think of it as a legally binding prenuptial agreement with Mother Nature. Next, you'll need to conduct an Environmental Impact Assessment, or EIA. This isn't just some box-ticking exercise, folks. This is where you demonstrate that you've thought about the environmental consequences of your actions and have a plan to minimize your impact. Lastly, and this is key, you need the consent of the local community. Remember, they're your neighbors, and you don't want to be known as the charcoal-making equivalent of that one house on the block that blasts polka music at 3 a.m. Look, let's be honest. Charcoal production isn't exactly the poster child for environmental sustainability. It can lead to deforestation, air pollution, and a whole host of other problems. That's why it's crucial to follow the law, not just because it's the law, but because it's the right thing to do. Think of it this way. Following these regulations is like wearing a mask during a pandemic. It's not just about protecting yourself, it's about protecting everyone around you. If you're still unsure about anything, don't hesitate to reach out to your local forest office. They're the experts, the charcoal whisperers if you will, and they can provide you with the information you need to operate responsibly and sustainably. Remember, ignorance is not a defense in the eyes of the law, and it's certainly not a viable strategy for protecting our planet. So, there you have it folks. A crash course in the thrilling world of charcoal production regulations in Myanmar. Remember, following these regulations is not just about compliance, but also about protecting our environment. Think of it as a love letter to Mother Nature, written in the language of permits, assessments, and community engagement. It's about ensuring that future generations can enjoy the same natural resources we often take for granted. It's about being responsible stewards of this planet we call home. And who knows, maybe, just maybe, if we all do our part, we can make the world a slightly less terrible place. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm off to go hug a tree and apologize for all the charcoal-related shenanigans we've just discussed. Stay informed and stay responsible. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more informative content.